Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Oluwemimo. I'm based in Austria, Central Europe. I'm a Nigerian. I would like to comment on the present scandal between Miss Stephanie Otobo and Apostle Johnson Suleman of the Omega Fire Ministry. I am not related to either parties. I don't know any of them. But as a Nigerian and as a Christian, I feel it is right for me to make this analysis so that members of the public would get to know the truth as of today and to know how to make their judgments. We got to know this whole story from the side of Miss Otobo when she went public and accused Apostle Johnson Suleman of having an affair with her and wanted to terminate her life, and in the process is using the law against her. On the 3rd of March 2017, Miss Otobo was arrested in a banking hall by members of the Nigerian police. She was handcuffed and detained by the FCID Alagbon, Nigeria. That same day, the lawyers of Miss Otobo, Festus Afeyodion Esquire and Oluwafemi Olabisi Esquire, both of the Festus Keyamu chambers, wrote a signed letter to Apostle Johnson Suleman of Omega Fire Ministry, claiming the following: that the apostle had an intimate relationship with Miss Otobo, a relationship which started in June 2015. That the relationship started on the claim that the clergyman was divorced, and in the course of time, Miss Otobo fell in love with the apostle, who proposed marriage to her. The apostle went further to Miss Otobo's family with drinks and gift for a formal marriage introduction. The introduction was at the Miss Otobo's family house, where her parents, her siblings, her uncles and cousins were present. And later the relationship got sour and the apostle broke the relationship when Miss Otobo refused a threesome sex with him. And the lawyers were requesting for a sum of 500 million naira for a breach of promise of marriage, which they claim is liable in law. And in the course of the relationship, Miss Otobo left her base in Canada, came to Nigeria, left her lucrative career, or abandoned her lucrative career, her cars, her house and friends, for a promise of a luxury and comfort in Nigeria by the clergyman. She was later arrested, and the lawyers demanded that if the clergyman doesn't pay this sum of 500 million naira, they will go public because they have videos, text messages, and other informations that could be damaging to him. And on the 4th of March 2017, this same lawyer wrote a petition letter to the Inspector General of Police in Abuja against the apostle. The petition title was Harassment, Intimidation and Brutalization of Ms. Stephanie Otobo. They appealed to the IG to investigate the case against their client, who was unjustly harassed, intimidated and brutalized by the police force sent by Apostle Johnson Suleman. And in the letter, they further stated that the apostle had a relationship with Miss Otobo since 2015 in Canada, and he said he was divorced when they started the relationship, and the apostle proposed to her. The apostle went to Miss Otobo's family house for an introduction, and later, in the course of the relationship, Miss Otobo abandoned her lucrative career, her friends, her house, her cars in Canada, and came to Nigeria. And Miss Otobo was treated as a common criminal when she was arrested in the banking hall on the 3rd of March 2017. And that is what is their claim. Now, based on these two letters, I would like to make my comments. First, she claimed the apostle started a relationship with her in Canada in June 2015. She didn't state how they met, where they met, how the relationship started, the date, no date. And from 2015 to 2017 is roughly 2 years. She cannot produce any evidence or any person in Canada that can attest to the fact that they had a relationship. And she said they started the relationship based on the fact that the apostle said he was divorced from his wife. And any Tom, Dick and Harry can go into YouTube and go through all the things from the Omega Fire Ministry. It's not hidden that the wife has been there all from 2015 till date. So if a man is divorced with his wife, how come the wife is still there? So it's either she's lying or she doesn't know what she's saying. And then she said she fell in love with the apostle, and then they decided to get married. He proposed to her. Which day, which time, where, how, where is the engagement ring? Nothing to show. And then she said the apostle went to her family house with drinks for a formal marriage introduction. And no, we are all Nigerians. We know what it takes. This is a serious matter when you talk of introduction. This is not a boyfriend, girlfriend. When a man wants to marry a woman, he doesn't go alone. He goes with members of his family. So when she said he went to the family, her own family, who were the members of his family that he took along, and when he introduced himself, what were their names? She said her mother was there, her father was there, her siblings were there. And in the course of this whole introduction ceremony, no picture was taken. Not even if her own pictures got missing, doesn't mean every member that was there in this age of Android phone, nobody had a phone to make pictures. So that is really another issue that is not very clear. And then she stated that in later the relationship got sour and he, the apostle, broke the relationship. So if a man breaks a relationship, it means he's no more interested. So I don't know how a man that is no more interested in you will now go and start harassing you. And then she stated that she abandoned her lucrative job, her career, her house, and friends for a promise of a luxury in Nigeria. If you have a lucrative career, even if you were married to the man and you got a divorce, it's a matter of going back to your old career. Career is career. And if it was so lucrative, then why leave it? And then she said she abandoned her cars. Where are the cars? Nobody just abandon a car in a developed society. It's either you park it in a garage or you sell it off or something. So what brand of cars was she driving? And what was the worth of the cars? How did she dispose of the cars? These are informations we don't know, and the Nigerian public should ask. And then she said she abandoned her friends. Nobody abandons friends. It's either you decide not to communicate with them or something, because even if you are not there, I still communicate with my friends in Nigeria, in America and all that. That's why we have social media, we have telephones, you have emails. So abandoning friends doesn't come in here at all. So if she abandoned friends, it's not anybody's fault but her own fault, and she should not blame anybody for making such poor choices. In life, we all make choices, and we are what we are based on the choices we make. If a man or a woman makes a poor choice, he doesn't have to blame anybody for the choices he made. He is solely responsible for his choices. And that's why we should be careful as individuals, because we are responsible for our choices, and our choices will make us or unmake us. And now she's claiming that she was arrested. So if she was arrested for fraud, what kind of fraud? The Nigerian society seems to be playing down on this issue of fraud. This is a very serious case. When a woman or a man is accused of such things, I think the first thing the person should do is clear that case, because it's his character that is at stake here. But instead of Ms. Otobo and her lawyers to clear that issue, they are instead going after a completely different issue, which is a scandal. And I don't know what she stands to gain in this scandal. The scandal doesn't clear her name or clear the issue of this fraud. So we should go into the issue of the fraud very well. Then after this whole thing, after the arrest on the 3rd of March 2017, Ms. Otobo and her lawyers, making do with their threat to the apostle, went public. They published photographs and did several interviews. She said so many derogatory statements, and that a decent lady shouldn't say in public. And then she claimed her major alibi was that she claimed that the apostle tried to kill her, he poisoned her, and she was pregnant. He gave her substance that aborted her pregnancy, and that's a serious case that should be looked into. And I am a woman, and I know how women are emotional when it comes to pregnancy and babies. If a woman is pregnant and somebody gave you a substance that aborted your baby, the first thing you should do is go to the police. Miss Otobo never went to any police. She never went to any doctor because she didn't produce anything, any medical reports. No evidence to show she was ever pregnant. And if she was pregnant, at what point was she pregnant? How old was the pregnancy when it was aborted? And then she claimed she was bleeding. She was given a substance and then she started bleeding. And then she was stooling blood. I've never heard of an abortion that ends up in stooling blood. And if that is the scenario, then it was a serious case that she should have gone to the hospital for, and not go to her father, who is a clergyman, to be tended. And then she, in her interview, she claimed that she was brutalized. Her phone was taken from her. She could not make any calls to her family or lawyer or anybody. And that she claimed that the rumor that Festus Keyamo was not her legal representative was false. She insisted that the apostle had an affair with her, and that she refused a threesome, sex affair with him, and that is why he called it quit. And she went on to give details of her sexual exploits with him. She claimed he tried to kill her and how he aborted her baby. And then she went to her father, who nurtured her back to health. And then when she recovered, she went back to Canada. In Canada, the bleeding started again. She went to one Mr. Wisdom Goldstein, a member of the MFM in Canada, and she told him her problem was as a result of what the apostle did to her, and he didn't believe. But nevertheless, the self-same Wisdom went ahead to take her to a Jamaican bishop, name withheld, church we don't know, who prayed for her, and then she got better. And then she came to Nigeria with the same Mr. Wisdom Goldstein, because he's a businessman and she's a musician. And she came for a music shooting with Timaya, while he came for a business trip. So they must have been very, very close. They must have had a relationship for them to board the same plane and come the same time. Then she claimed she was not the only person that the apostle had affair with, that he also had affair with an actress, a Nollywood actress, and his wife. He always said his wife never satisfied him in bed. She claimed that the apostle lies a lot. And when she was asked who is this actress, she said she doesn't know him. And that she doesn't know Nigerian actresses very well. That the only thing she knows that the actress is light-skinned, beautiful, and tall. And from my own understanding, that sounds like a cock and bull story, because if a man wants to convince you, because she said that he told her this because he wanted to convince her to have a threesome with her. So if a man wants to convince you that to have a threesome with you, and he tells you I've had an affair with an actress, he must have mentioned the name, because if he didn't mention the name, how come she knew the actress was light skinned, tall and beautiful, if it was just a nobody? So there was definitely a name that was mentioned. So her story doesn't line up. And then she claimed the apostle lies a lot, but from all her stories, she also is lying. Then she claimed she was brutalized. When this video was shot after her arrest, there was no sign of brutalization. I can take harassment, but brutalization, no, because there is no sign of bruises on her, nothing. She was not psychologically shaken. She was very confident. She was bragging and ranting in front of the camera. So, like someone that was on a personal vendetta to undo somebody. And she practically said it. And then she claimed her phone was taken away from her and she could not make any calls. So if she could not make any calls, how come her lawyers wrote letters to the apostle and the AIG almost the same day that she was arrested? Who got the information to them? Since she was arrested with her accomplice. People don't forget, she was her accomplice in the arrest was the same Mr. Wisdom she came into the country with. The one that she claimed in her alibi that knows about her escapade with the apostle. Now, she claimed that she loved the apostle, and yet if a woman loves a man, she does not claim money from him. Since she's so much in love with the man, how come she's now claiming money? And if she's claiming 500 million, we are not talking of naira here, 500 million naira, which is equivalent to $1 million for a woman that has not married a man, just for breaking a marriage proposal. Come on, she's not the first woman to have a broken relationship. If that is the case, then women all over the world will be very rich by claiming money from men, and our men folk will be in big trouble. There is no way, no law in the world that states that a man must marry a woman that he claims he wants to marry. Even when they are both married, they can still break up. And when they break up, the woman is not entitled to alimony except there are certain conditions met. Not all women are entitled to alimony, except she has a child for the man, or except they both own businesses together, and in the period that they were married, then based on the income and all that, or the properties, then she will be given and it will be shared. But she has not invested anything. So what is her moral justification for all her demands? And now if she claims that, yes, based on the fact that the man tried to kill her and abort her baby, she's claiming some damages, I can understand that, but that is not her major focus here. And for crying out loud, if a man tries to kill your baby, the first thing you should cry out for to the world is this. This, not money. But rather, she's bringing in money, she's bringing in scandal. How does it solve the problem? It doesn't. It doesn't at all. And then she was bleeding. She claimed she kept bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. It doesn't add up. No woman keeps bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. It's either the baby is aborted or not aborted. And once it's aborted, the bleeding stops. bleeding and stolen blood doesn't go together. So there are so many cock and bull stories here. And then the major broker in her alibi was her father. She said her father nurtured her back to life. And on the 6th of March 2017, the father came on in Abuja, addressed a press conference and some journalists and said her story is not right, that he doesn't know the apostle, he has never met the apostle doesn't know his house, the apostle never brought any gift or drinks for any introduction, he is not aware of any introduction with his daughter to any man, and that the daughter, the so-called Miss Otobo, is an indecent girl, and that she's only trying to ruin, he doesn't know why she wants to ruin the family name. And for what I know, for parenting, no father comes out to make such statements except it is true. The normal thing would be to cover up, but since he is a Christian, he fears God, he believed in the truth, he came out to tell Nigerians the truth. In spite of all the truth that he told, many people still didn't believe. They still went ahead to still continue believing her cock and bull story. If a father says a child is bad, the child is really, really bad. So for Miss Otobo's father to say Miss Otobo is indecent means she's really indecent. And her coming out in public in front of the camera, the whole world is seeing her, she's bragging and describing such sexual things, is really, really disgusting and indecent. And the father is really right. She is indecent to make such statements. And then when she was making some press release, her body movements were not okay. For me, it was not okay because she kept exposing herself. So it's like she wants to sell her market. She wants to sell her market like, guys, I'm available, I'm beautiful. Don't you see how sexy I am? And all those things. So no decent lady will want to say that thing. Should have a little bit of shame. The woman should have a little bit of shame and a red point where she says, no, so far no more. You just don't come and start making such statements in public and you want the whole world to believe you are decent. No, it's not right. So even if she had good ideas or good intentions, the way she's going about it has flawed her. And if she has a case, in my own opinion, she has a case with the apostle, a case of murder of her baby, attempted murder on her, and all that. She should go to court. If she has a good case, she should go to court, file a case against him, and if she has enough case, she can prove her point, then she wins the case. Then she cannot come out to the public and say, yes, I said it and now have done it. I've proved my case. I've gotten justice. But with the way she's going, I don't see any justice she's going to get by going public and saying all these things. And then she claims she went to a Jamaican bishop who prayed for her. What is the name of this Jamaican bishop in Canada? What is the name of his church? When did she go there? And what period did he pray for her? No information. It's just Jamaican bishop. Anybody can say anything. So those are the things. And then she claimed that she came to Nigeria for a music shooting with Timaya. Until date, Timaya has not said anything about this. If it is really true, at least she should be able to get Timaya or the lawyers of Timaya to state that it was really true that she has a music shooting with them. So we don't know how true that is. And then she claimed that the apostle stole her laptop. Somebody that is accused for stealing is now accusing another person for stealing. It's very interesting. And then that the apostle trailed her. When she landed, the apostle took her laptop. Before, at the beginning, she said her laptop was taken immediately she landed Nigeria. Her laptop was taken. Then later, when she was further interrogated by journalists, she said actually, the somebody stole her laptop, and she believed it was the apostle that sent them to steal her laptop, and all the informations, the pictures, the videos she could have presented were in that so-called laptop. And then this interview was done on the 13th of March. And then she claimed in the same so-called interview that the apostle promised to 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 give her money, and she met him in a hotel in Nigeria, and he gave her 800,000. And then when she was asked how often she had met the apostle, she said they only met twice in Nigeria and about 5 times in the whole relationship. So in a relationship of 2 years, they only met 5 times. And if within that 5 times, the apostle promised marriage to her, did introduction. Wow, it's very, very fast. What a speed in a relationship. I've never heard it except in movies, where a man will meet a woman just 2 3 times and is proposing marriage, and maybe in the third fourth time he's going to the family house, and then they just break up so fast again. So it's like the love just went up and came down again. Very interesting. So that is another issue that members of public should really, really look into. So now we have to say, so I have to say something here. In one of the same interview of the 13th of March, she claimed that the apostle and herself were both in Napoli, and that the police should check her passport to see the date the immigration officer stamped her in, and to check the apostle's own. And then when she was further interrogated to ask if how did it happen, did they both board the same flight, she said no, actually she was in Nigeria, the apostle sent her to Canada, and then he sent her money in Canada, and she met him